All right, let's dive into something a little unsettling. Today, we're going to explore a really strange and, frankly, disturbing parallel. The one between the cosmic dread you find in horror stories and the very real anxiety we feel about climate change.
H.P. Lovecraft kicks off his most famous story, The Call of Cthulhu, not with some tentacled monster, but with an idea. He's basically saying that our sanity is protected because our brains can't connect all the dots, can't see the full, terrifying picture of reality all at once. It's a merciful ignorance. But what happens when that mercy is just gone? What happens when science itself forces us to connect those dots and stare at the full, horrifying picture?
And that question right there, it leads us to the heart of this whole thing. This idea that some catastrophes aren't just random acts of bad luck, they're triggered. They're part of a huge cycle, a moment when, as the stories always say, the stars are right. And this is where fiction and reality start to look eerily similar. See, in Lovecraft's universe, these ancient, monstrous things wake up because of cycles in the cosmos, things completely beyond human control. It's just inevitable. In our world, scientists talk about ecological tipping points. These are thresholds where one tiny change can suddenly push a massive system, like the whole planet's climate, into a new state that you can't reverse. It's like these ancient parts of our planet, the ice caps, the ocean currents, are being awakened from a deep, deep sleep, and we can't just put them back to bed. This forces you to face a really chilling thought. The entire history of humanity, everything we've ever built, everything we've ever done, it all happened during a freakishly stable and calm period in Earth's history. This wasn't the planet's normal setting. It was a temporary, fragile, and merciful window. It was a gift, really. And all the data we have now is screaming that that window is slamming shut. So that Call of Cthulhu from the story, it has a real-world echo. For us, the call isn't some weird psychic whisper coming from the bottom of the ocean. No, it's the literal rising tide. It's the warming seas. It's a very real, very physical signal that our time as the undisputed rulers of this planet, the age where we thought we were in charge, is coming to a close. Okay, so let's move from the big, abstract ideas to something you can almost reach out and touch, and something that is genuinely frightening, the idea of unearthing horrors from a time before humans even existed. And this is not a drill. This isn't a plot from a sci-fi movie. It's a direct warning from scientists. Up in the Arctic, the permafrost, that's ground that's been frozen solid for thousands, even hundreds of thousands of years, is thawing. And locked away in that ice are ancient viruses and bacteria. Think about that. Pathogens our immune systems have never, ever seen. Threats that predate our entire species, perfectly preserved, just waiting. It is a literal horror, being awakened from an icy tomb. The parallel here is just impossible to ignore. In the story, the horror kicks off when sailors stumble upon this dead alien city made of impossibly huge stones rising up out of the sea. For us, the horror is oozing out of the thawing ground. It's something that was supposed to be buried forever, now coming back to the surface. A relic from a past so deep, it might as well be alien. So if something is waking up, what was the ritual that woke it? Well, the answer is pretty grim. It was us. Our own industrial civilization, our whole obsession with progress and short-term gain, all powered by burning the remains of ancient life. That was the incantation. You could say our carbon emissions are the chants of a modern cult. A cult that didn't even know it was performing a planet-wide ritual. A ritual that has well and truly opened the gate. And this brings us to what is maybe the most fundamentally terrifying part of cosmic horror, and the hardest thing for us as humans to accept. The nature of the force we're dealing with. It's not evil, it's not angry, it is just completely and totally indifferent. In Lovecraft stories, the big scary monsters aren't really villains. They don't hate us. They're just so huge and so ancient that we don't even register. Think about it. You don't hate an ant you accidentally step on, right? You just don't notice it. Well, a warming planet works on the exact same principle. It's not punishing us. It's just following the basic, cold, hard laws of physics and chemistry. A chain reaction that, once started, just goes. So what do these laws of physics ignore? Well, pretty much everything we think makes us important. Our morality, our politics, our beautiful art, and our complex cultures. Our ideas about what's fair and just. An acidifying ocean doesn't care about our legal system. A collapsing food web doesn't care that we think we're special. And that right there, that's the core of cosmic dread. That gut punch realization that you are completely and utterly insignificant to the forces that can wipe you out. So when you're forced to confront a truth that massive, that vast, and that uncaring, what does that actually do to the human brain? Let's talk about the psychological toll. Let's circle back to that quote from the very beginning. That whole idea of merciful ignorance. The thing is, we don't have that anymore. Not in the age of the internet. The data it's everywhere. Ice core samples, satellite readings, constant streams of information. We can't pretend we don't know. So what happens to our sanity when we're forced day in and day out to try and connect all those dots? Well, it's got a name now. Eco-anxiety. And if you look at it through this lens, it's so much more than just being worried. It's a modern kind of that Lovecraftian madness. It's the paralysis, the dread you feel when your mind tries to grasp something that's just too big, too complex. It's trying to make sense of the impossible geometry of it all, how melting ice in Greenland can cause a drought somewhere else entirely. It's trying to hold a planet's worth of breaking systems in your head all at once. This is exactly the kind of soul-shattering awareness Lovecraft was writing about. The characters in his stories who go mad when they learn the truth, they're a perfect metaphor for people today who really, truly absorb what the data is telling us. The people who understand the scale of it all and have that dawning, sickening realization that we might have already passed the point of no return. They've seen the charts, and they've understood the physics, and they've come to the terrifying conclusion that the stars are already right. So, we get to the final part of all this. This is where all those threads, the awakening, the indifference, the madness, all come together in the world we are literally building around ourselves right now. Lovecraft's big vision of horror was this dead city covered in slime rising from the ocean. So what's our version? You just have to look. The oil-slicked beaches, the seas choked with microplastics, the giant scars on the landscape from mining. We're not just discovering some monument to an ancient evil, we are actively building a monument to our own extinction. And here's the ultimate terrible irony in all of this. Our greatest tool, science, the very engine of human reason, is what has delivered this terrifying knowledge to our doorstep. Our scientific analysis of carbon cycles and melting ice sheets is the correlation of contents from that opening quote. Science shattered our merciful ignorance for good. It's become our Necronomicon, the forbidden book that, once you read it, reveals the awful truth. And we can't unread it now. We can't pretend we don't know. And so we're left with this final haunting thought. It feels like we find ourselves inside a story that's been in the making for eons. The data is telling us that the planet's own systems are shifting, and that the long, quiet slumber that allowed us to build our entire civilization, well, that slumber is ending. The planet is beginning to wake up, to reclaim its ancient and utterly indifferent throne.